Hi everyone, I'm Josh Milwer from Flexi, and I'm very excited to have Oded Shafran. He's a co-founder and CTO of Linguana, a startup helping YouTubers reach global audiences through AI-powered dubbing. Oded, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For listeners meeting you for the first time, could you tell us who Oded Shafran is and what keeps you busy at Linguana?
Yeah, sure. So I have a pretty, I would say, boring history. I started as a embedded software developer in a company that doesn't exist anymore, and it was too slow for me. So then I moved on to opening my first startup, and then I moved on to the OTT world, all the over-the-top TV. I was working for a company called TVinci that was acquired by Kaltura. So all the encoding of video and management of video under the over-the-top TV. Then I moved on to Imagine Media. Imagine Media was a company that was acquired by Warner Music Group. And in my latest venture, I teamed up with Yuval Tal, my partner, and we are doing in Linguana. We have a very ambitious idea to disrupt the video globalization. We are partnering with the content creators. Well, content creator is not you and me with a wedding video on YouTube, like serious people that all their business is behind YouTube. This is like their full-time job. They wake up, they brush their teeth, and this is what they do. So we partner with really, really big creators, and we enable in this partnership a risk-free product where we take all the risk of video localization on us, and they need to do nothing basically. So we take their video into other demographics, other countries, other languages, and we do it using AI. So think of if you're, I don't know, a do-it-yourself carpenter in Arizona, and you're really big, and you're doing cool videos about how to build a sofa. We take that and we distribute and dub you, localize, and adapt the video using AI into Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, and we distribute that. So by the end of the day, you enjoy, as a creator, you enjoy only from success. We are doing more than 11,000 videos a month using a very small team, and the AI product is what enables us to do it very, very efficiently.
That is so interesting because I think one of the main things that caught my ear when you were explaining this to me back then and right now is that the way that you're approaching this is different from other AI tools that we've seen, more in a partnership way. And we'll dive into the way that that works and how much the user is exposed to the whole process behind the scenes. But I think it is a very distinct way of working with AI tools and how users benefit from that. But I would love to ask you, first of all, take us to that aha moment with Yuval back when you just realized Linguana has to exist.
Yeah, so when we met, we had an idea of how we can predict using AI, how we can predict what would be successful in other regions. Like given a content, dubbing when we met was very expensive. So just the prediction was a thing. So we like said, okay, how can I utilize AI for that? And then from that moment, every day that passed, new AI tools, new open sources, new stuff came, and we said, this is the point that we need to really harness the AI in order to create a product that industrialize. Yuval told me, industrialize. I remember the sentence in the coffee shop, industrialize this using AI. So from that point, we ran, and this is like the starting point.
Yeah. And you have a long history in video tech, like you were mentioning at Cultura and other places. What do you think has been the most impactful way that this experience has affected your time at Linguana and the whole product at Linguana?
Yeah, so I always think about my days back in the previous companies. How would they be with the tools that I have today? The content world specifically is a very hard to crack because it's it's about taste. It's about personal characteristics. Everyone is different. Building a product without those tools back in Imagine and Kaltura, it was very, very slow process. All the tools that are available today, as someone that lived through the media and entertainment industry, it took me further to create new tools that didn't exist 2 years ago.
So could you take us through this pipeline, this process, so we're a bit more exposed about what actually happens from the moment that you get content from a creator and up until the moment where you can publish it and have that distributed to different markets?
So once we sign up with the creator, then we tap into your content and you don't need to do anything. By the end of the day, we take the post-production video, which include effects, music, thumbnails, whatever you have on that video. We take it, we break it into separate building components. And from that point, we have like around 40, 50 different steps in our workflow that make sure that first of all, we understand your video. And then we make the localization process, which is, I can say, sometimes 100% automated, sometimes it's 95% because we can elaborate on that also, but we have human in the loop where the AI, and this is part of what we design in the product, the AI will alert all kind of unknown issues, all kind of hallucinations, because every product has its own hallucination. So we try to protect it by adding the necessary role that needs to address that issue to make it as efficient as possible. Once this video is done to be in French, Portuguese, then it is being distributed into video platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and from that point, everything is automated.
That's so interesting. I think the main thing that I think about when you tell me this and this pipeline that you were telling me, 40 to 50 steps, very complex thing with partially automated, partially human interactions. How much of this pipeline is the YouTube partner exposed to? How do they see that from their end?
So what makes us unique is that they don't need to do anything. They can see analytics at every given time. They can and they do give us all kind of suggestions, ideas, because they know obviously their content, they know usually their audience. So from that point, they don't do anything. That's what nice. They can keep on doing their next English video in a very smart way, very efficient way. And this is basically what we are doing with everybody. Most of them don't even know even what we are posting when or what things we do, in the micromanagement. They do want to participate, and to get us ideas or heads up or new interesting stuff that they are doing. We are sharing them ideas that we automatically find in comments to get maybe ideas for the next videos.
That's very surprising to me, because I would think that someone that does that for a living and someone that's trying to be in control about the content that they put out and to get the feedback from you that they release control and let you guys do the work. I'm wondering whether that's something that you've experienced that has happened from the beginning, or is it a process? And what steps have you guys taken, if any, to build that trust where creators can just like let go of this thing that they don't really know what's going to happen, what will the end result be, and it's not a side project to them. This is their life work.
Yeah. So this is a good point because branding is still branding. Some people are more sensitive for the product impact, but at the end of the day, most of our creators want to see a check every quarter. And because what we do, we also mix, previous content. So it can be a year-old video that they posted in the States. We take it now to Brazil, right? Why not take a content that's already produced and make more money? So we also proved ourselves in the quality. So by the end of the day, we have a network of more than 450 creators, and we are, of course, I'm not objective, but we are one of the best in the industry that do it with AI.
And what would you say are the maybe like 3 highlights in your process that you would say you're doing very well that maybe other companies are not doing, or things that you've been innovating at that has helped build that trust and helped reach those results?
Yeah, so we are doing all kind of personalization on every creator. So we have built our own fine-tuned LLMs and all kind of models that actually learn the tone of the text and what it is about. And we utilize that now. We are making sure, because we are in the YouTube industry, it gives us a lot of power to serve best YouTubers. So I'm not ready yet to go to Universal Studios and to say, give me your Brad Pitt video and I will do it AI, right? So we are very, very specific in the domain we are operating. So the YouTube type of videos, the Facebook type of videos, long content video between 15 to 90 minutes about history, about do-it-yourself cooking. We have like 450 creators, we have 450 verticals. So every vertical is its own glossary, and we are specializing in glossary. So all the physics terms, all the stuff that we build and learn automatically are incorporated into the next creator. So everyone benefits from the fact that we take every vertical and we learn from it along the way.
By the way, do you have a case where a localized version or video or channel outperformed the original one?
Yes. Actually, it's very funny. We have a channel about train trips in the USA. And it's in English, and it had like hundreds of thousands of views originally. And what we did, one day we woke up and we saw that the Spanish version exploded and generated millions of views, mostly for Spanish people in the States. But it was exploding because of the Spanish audience.
That's so interesting. And Oded, as you know, we at Flexi, we do design and we're focused on AI design and designing AI products. So I'm very interested to hear about the tools that you're building, because if I understand correctly, the tools are used internally and that the partners are not really exposed to those tools beyond maybe dashboards or some parts of the process that you might want to show them. How do you guys approach building those tools in terms of the product and the design, and what's the importance of that usability, and especially for AI products? Because, in this very complex 40, 50 step process that you were describing, there's a lot of uncertainty about what will be the end product. So I'm wondering how you guys deal with that.
So the luck that I have, because I'm wearing also the CTO and the product hat, that at least the technology product, I'm lucky to have the users are sitting in the same office with me. So the interviews, their pains, their problems in the current product is very, very accessible. So what we typically do is we have a product manager here, we gather the idea. Every role in the company needs specific things to be in the product, specific features, specific behavior, specific UX. We gather that, and from time to time we do brainstorm even for the whole company, like that everyone can hear. We take that into either Claude or Figma, and we start to generate all kind of mockups. If you take Claude, I can share an example. One of our biggest challenges was to develop a user experience for our employees, our users, to be able to tackle all kind of AI alerts that rise in the localization process. How do you do that in scale? So up until a few months ago, we were working in a very, very, I would say, very primitive user experience. I did listen to all kind of issues. I drafted a mock-up on a page. I took a picture. I told Claude, listen, take this and build me the page in my already in my back office, right? In the technology that I already use. And not only that it created, it wasn't perfect, obviously, but it created an amazing UI that it even incorporates stuff that I didn't think about. All kind of small dragging from side to side and stuff that I said, Eureka. Now this is the time. I needed at that point, I needed probably like 5 developers. And I'm not kidding. So I'm gathering ideas for my users. I and my product manager, we think how it can be done in a very basic level, right? You don't need to go into details. You give it to the AI to get some kind of a mock-up or POC or whatever. And from that point, you try to iterate with it and to challenge it and to fix all kind of things. I must say that this is the challenging point because you come to a complexity that sometimes and I'm sure you experienced in the past, is that it breaks stuff. Right? It's very, very complex. It's not there yet, but if you do it small iterations, small cycles, you're able to benefit a lot of that.
That's so interesting because this whole area of how AI is affecting design, like you were saying, I can sit down with Claude myself and do this and have a taste of that design process that I would usually need a designer for, or do it but not do it as well as I'd want to do it, and have Claude do it for me. This is a very contentious topic, and we could ask like what happens to the designer in this process, but the way that I see it and the way that we see it at Flex is that this is shortening the amount of time and effort that it takes for you to reach the real problems where you actually need a designer. And the little things, even if you're not taking them to the place that you want it to be in terms of user experience, the amount of conversations and the amount of back and forth that is needed for it to reach that is going to be a lot shorter if your starting point is this and not this.
Exactly.
So I love that the way that you described that, and also what you were saying, that it works really well for small things, but then when you start getting into more complex flows and complex screens and interactions, that's when it becomes a bit more complicated.
Yeah. And by the way, it enables our collaboration, the collaboration tools themselves, which have AI component inside, obviously, like Figma, Notion, all kind of recently added features into all the platforms, because AI is a big thing now, enables us, to collaborate much faster between the teams, because once you build a prototype, you are sharing it with everybody. They comment inline and start to collaborate on top of it. You are able to move very, very fast between the teams.
Yeah, I think every company and every startup should be doing that. And back to Linguana and the product, I had a bit of a contentious question to ask you, because there's speaking of AI tools and all of these tools that keep progressing and changing. We could ask. You have tools like 11 Labs, where creators could potentially just go and do it themselves, keep the revenue. Why shouldn't they do that? Why should they go to Linguana?
It's a very good point. This is going back to the SaaS model or fully managed. The fully managed in those companies is very, very expensive. And on the SaaS, it's relatively cheap. However, you need to invest time, you need to invest money. You don't know which video will succeed where. You have to proofread it. There are hallucination. You have to edit. They have a very cool editor that you can fix a lot of things that are like this, more or less. But with our partnership, they don't need to do that because we are very tailored. Our technology is very, very tailored to their needs, to this type of content. So it's either you deal with it, you pay money, you don't know if you're going to get your money back from Brazil, and you have 400 videos in your inventory that you did in the past 5 years. Which one should I pick? Which languages should I make? So everything we have here internally, able to look around to see what's relevant and what's not relevant, and to put the risk, the cost, and the overhead on our head.
Yeah. Yeah. So the way that, if I understand correctly, there's like three main pillars why creators would want to work with you, which is the this partnership model where they don't take any risk until they don't take any risk, period. Then the second one being the AI capabilities, and this process is 50-step process that takes the video and outputs it on a different language with a dubbing that's professionally keeps the soul of the video. And then the third one would be that you guys have the recommendations about what videos to localize where. And I would love to hear a bit more about that third one. How did that come to be? What are you guys doing differently that other competitors don't do it currently?
So we released until today around 60,000 videos in, I think, more than 12 countries, or 12 the demographics, let's call it, locales. We generated billions of views, so we have the data that nobody, I think, has, which is a source video in a specific language and how it behaved on other regions. So it means we are able to, and it's a work in progress. It looks very promising that we will be able to identify the right content to the right country. And also, I didn't mention, but part of, you mentioned 11 Labs or any other SaaS companies, the publishing process, it's also a step. So once you have like a French video, you want to customize the thumbnail. You want not only to translate, sometimes you want to customize because, let's say, Brazilians like more yellow and green. All kind of nuances that our team and our AI takes care of. You need to translate the title. You don't want Google Translate. You want something more dedicated that understands the terminologies. So around the publishing, there's also a lot of work. So together with what may succeed in higher chances and the full end-to-end solution that we publish your videos in 10 countries gives us a lot of advantage because we have the data. The data is the key here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
us and
No, that's
YouTube.
so interesting because you'd never think. What's that?
It's us and YouTube. YouTube has more data, but it's like they are the only ones,
My
that
next
hold.
question is about YouTube, by the way. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say on what you just talked about that you can't really imagine how big of a process. And this is where you mentioned the industrialization when you were talking about how you were talking with Yuval at the beginning of Linguana, industrializing this whole process and having it be really a pipeline to very easily customize things. And
And it's not
speaking of,
easy, by the way, because this is why they still need us, is because it's not easy. It's not the process is very, very complicated. It starts from the transcription, it goes into translation, it goes into distribution. So it's a very complicated, and it's unlike, by the way, it's unlike captions, right? When you see hard captions on the YouTube video, you are less sensitive to typos and the name is not right. In audio, you have to have it the highest quality possible because you need the retention there is very, very sensitive to mistakes. And this is the challenge that we are solving.
has there been a video where maybe the human factor has missed a misstep, an error, and then you have put out videos where you had to either take them offline, or you just had to, you just realized that you didn't want that?
Yeah. So yes, we had, and the reason is that we are always progressing. So we are talking about a year ago, it was totally different than what we have today. The AI, the trick here is to have the AI check the AI, right? You don't want a human mistake. A human mistake when you are 8 people managing more than 1,300 channels in YouTube, a very small team doing a lot of stuff, you cannot give it to chance and to human. You have the AI check the AI. So we did release until we have, I call it like some kind of firewalls, right? You don't want like all kind of hallucination that are embarrassing. So we're doing all kind of firewalls, LLM firewalls, and audio and acoustical evaluations to make sure that the process will need human less and less. So that the error variation is very low as we go. It will become lower and lower and lower. And thus will bring us to a higher and higher level of quality.
Yeah. And that really takes into the question I had about YouTube, because as you were saying, the tools keep improving, the processes keep improving, and AI is improving so fast. And I realized, I didn't know this, that YouTube has an auto dubbing feature. You probably know this a lot better than me. But I wanted to ask you, does this keep you up at night? Because at the end, is YouTube, is Google, such a huge, endless pit of money at the end of the day they can throw into it.
Yeah, yeah. So we did look at it, and we've been, I think I heard about it in 2023. We were very cautious about the quality that we will deliver, because as we progressed on our side, we saw how complicated the process is. You cannot do next, next, next and have a dubbed video in French. It doesn't work like this. Especially if you are have acoustics with background echo, and when the two people are speaking on top of each other. So we knew what it is about, and we were waiting and waiting, and they released it. We saw it, and it was it was okay. It was okay for a very, very specific use cases. Sometimes, there were all kind of mistakes, still are, by the way. From time to time, I open random videos on YouTube and I hear the auto dubbing, and you immediately recognize that tone, those mistakes. We really, really love YouTube. We think that they are doing a great job in product awareness, that creators needs to go global. And this is one of the ways that they did. Now there's time, and place for premium vendors that will deliver the highest quality possible. And, for the small ones that want their video to be single narration and everything is nice and they're pretty small, they will probably use that solution.
Yeah, and as you were saying, you only partner with the big creators. So at the end of the day, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling filter.
We have all kind of thresholds, and we are building this also predictive type of stuff to tell us which one is worth to bring in. So we have all kind of metrics that we are looking at, leads and incoming leads. People want to join our network. It's very interesting that how the market education from YouTube helped us by the end of the day.
Speaking of leads, what would be your, like, Oded Shafran's ideal lead for partner with at Linguana? What would be the dream?
Like the dream creator?
Yeah.
There are 3 million monetized channels in YouTube, and YouTube alone, right? So it's a big ocean. The dream is to have a very good channels roster in all kind of verticals. We don't have any, preference. We do know, obviously, because we have a huge amount of data. We know what works, what vertical works, what don't. The dream, would be to serve the biggest ones.
Yeah, makes sense. And I wanted to ask you a question about the ethics of it and AI, because voice cloning crosses a bit of an ethical line very quickly. What's your opinion on that? What's the approach at Linguana? And
So in terms of voice cloning, we see that it works better, enables to keep the authenticity of the speaker. So you are able to transfer their tone, energy / prosody. It's a bit of a challenge. We are also looking into that, but it gives more authenticity. So it gives more natural feeling to the video. And when using, so in terms of ethical issues, we don't mix voice clones between content creators. So we don't put someone else's voices instead. And in specific languages that we need to make sure that the accent is very, very precise, we use a catalog with our vendor, which is 11 Labs. We use a very specific, very tailored pre-made voice to the character. For ethical issues, it's a funny story. We had a Roman Empire channel where we used AI to generate the creators' thumbnails. We use Midjourney. We use all kind of tool to generate Roman soldiers for the thumbnails. And one day we were looking at the comments, and we saw that people are talking in the comments about the Roman soldier being Afro-American. And they said this is like These are not the facts. So we were in discussion internally what to do. Do you keep it, like you change it? Because if you move it, then what do you do if you want to stick to the source? So you come across, sometimes you don't even notice that the small things may impact, the audience may impact. So AI is it's cool, it's nice. There is a lot of work like to protect such things and to make sure you are aligned with the truth.
So what did you end up doing with the thumbnail?
I think we left it.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Let the
was creating,
people figure let the
sorry?
people fight it out in the comments.
Yeah, it created a discussion. You have to make sure that your AI is going through a lot of pipelines, protections, if you don't want a human in the loop, of course.
Is that the ultimate goal for the Linguana pipeline?
Yes, yes. So as I mentioned, we are between 90, 95 to 100% automation. We take care of many aspects in fixes along the way, but it's mostly the end goal will be to be fully automated, 99, 98%.
I wanted to do a bit of a lightning round before we finish of a few questions, so you can just answer them off the top of your head. So what's your favorite under the radar AI tool in your own stack?
For me, I would say it's and I know it may sound boring, but OpenAI and Anthropic, for me, as a technical guy, it's very useful and underrated in the terms of visual design. I think that the power is there. I'm not sure, I haven't tried myself Canva. The team here works with Canva and Figma. But for me, as a technical user, I think that people don't give enough attention to using the LLMs to get a design or a concept type of product. So if you want a mock-up, if you want stuff like that, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Of course, you need to navigate through the prompting and stuff like that, but if you are able to deliver the message, it's amazing. So I really encourage people to try to visualize stuff, to make diagrams, flows, feature ideas through those LLMs.
What's the most overrated buzzword in the AI world right now?
I would say MCP. It's a protocol, it's a standard that is connecting different parts of AI, LLMs to different vendors that can operate one each other. It's a very big buzzword for me. It's very easy, but for a technical guy, it didn't impress me because it's achievable without it. MCP. I don't know if you see it, but in the last month or two, it was like MCP. So we get it. That's cool. That's nice. Yeah. Overrated, in my opinion.
And last question that I have is, could you give one practical tip for product people and designers who want to ship an LLM feature tomorrow?
So I would focus in higher iterations. If a product manager wants to release something, I'm a believer in releasing things very fast. But if you're able to do an A/B test very fast, I would first of all collect all the data all the time. So part of what they do, it has to collect the data from day one. So this is something that is a must. Even after you do research and you do the survey and the interviews with your users, and the A/B test has to get a lot of data. And in LLM specifically, you want to save everything. You want to see all the outliers in the process. You want to see how user work with it. Everything that storage is very cheap. So I always, when we plan the product, when we plan the features specifically, we work a lot with LLMs, a lot, like from understanding the video until publishing it. So everything that you can save, and then there are tools, to analyze it as a product. You are able to analyze it in a scale to understand what went better, what went wrong, because there will be things that you haven't thought about. There will be always things, and we work with such a variety of content and users behaving like this and behaving like that you are unable to think all the permutations that people can do in your workflow. So it's very important to keep track of everything. That would be my suggestion.
Awesome, Oded. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
I can't wait to see what you guys come up with at Linguana. Sounds like such an
Sure.
interesting domain.
We'll keep in touch. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Oded.
Bye
Good
bye.
day.